This week on Full Circle Florida, terror in Tallahassee, the mass shooting at FSU, the on-campus tragedy, and what we're now learning about the gunman. Plus, the weak Supreme Court. How can the Trump administration ignore the ruling of 9 justices? The High Court said the White House wrongfully deported a father to a foreign prison with zero evidence that he was part of a gang, and now they refuse to get him back. And this week, the president said he's looking into sending Americans accused of crimes to foreign jails. Is there any limit to the president's power, or did the Supreme Court make itself irrelevant when it ruled in favor of President Trump on presidential immunity last year? Our legal expert, Jeremy Rosenthal, weighs in with fresh insight. And your voice as we mark the 6-month anniversary of Hurricane Milton and the countdown to a new season just weeks away. But let's begin with the very latest in Tallahassee. This week, the American tragedy of mental illness and gun violence converged and descended on the state capitol and Florida State University. A shooter unleashed his anger onto innocent students at FSU. Our Capitol reporter, Forrest Saunders, was there reporting live on the scene within minutes of the shots ringing out. And our own Chad Mills is in Tallahassee with the very latest on what we now know today and what we still don't.
Classes were canceled Friday, but regardless, FSU's campus was exceptionally quiet.
It's just it's an eerie feeling, I would say, to be on campus right now.
Ethan Jones from Lakeland is a junior at FSU, and though he didn't witness the shooting, he almost did.
It was such a pretty day. I was deciding whether I should do my class outside.
Instead, he went home, avoiding the tragedy that unfolded near the student union Thursday around noon. That's when Tallahassee police say the suspected shooter, 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, emerged from a parking garage and started firing a handgun while walking through buildings and green spaces, injuring 6, killing 2. Police say they shot Eichner and arrested him roughly 4 minutes after the first shot was fired.
Overall, like I said, unfortunately we do have to prepare for these sort of events, and I can't speak enough for the team that's here and the team that's not here.
In a news conference Friday, Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare surgeons said they treated 6 people for gunshot wounds to their torsos and limbs. One patient has a gunshot wound to the face and needed facial surgery, but all are expected to survive and make full recoveries.
Gunshot wounds, it can be a matter of inches or centimeters.
ABC News reports that Robert Morales, a former assistant football coach at Leon High School, was one of the 2 killed. And we also learned the other worked for Aramark, a food vendor on campus. In a statement, the company said it's absolutely shaken by the tragedy. Ethan is too.
I just hate that tragedy is the thing that has to bring us together.
But despite the shock, he thinks scenes like these are feeling more and more like the new normal.
It happens too often now to call it like a rarity.
Chad, thank you. Let's go ahead and bring in our panel now. She is the publisher of Southeast Politics. Janelle Irwin Taylor is back with us this week, and she is our voice of reason, political analyst, Dr. Susan MacManus. Okay, feels a little out of place to talk about politics on a week like what we just witnessed here, but at FSU. But our leaders are elected to make decisions. One of the things up for debate in Tallahassee in this legislative session, House Bill 759, it's advanced in the House, but it aims to lower the age of purchasing long guns like shotguns and assault rifles from 21 down to 18, which would effectively undo a law that was passed by Republicans in the wake of the Parkland shooting. Of course, Governor Rick Scott was governor at that time. Do you think this bill will become law after what happened right down the road from where lawmakers have been debating this?
I think it's doubtful, because if it haven't done much on that bill right now, they're just sitting there waiting to see how this is going to play out. Not anticipating the FSU shooting, but just to see how the issue itself played out. And it's very clever that they do that intentionally. You'll introduce things that are controversial, introduce it and run it through one house, but save it back for the other one not to go forward. I suspect they'll wait another year.
This could conveniently go radio silent in the Senate. They run out the clock and it goes away?
Yeah, it's a complicated process, especially when you're looking at less than 2 weeks until the anticipated end of legislative session, which is supposed to be May 2nd. Maybe it'll be a little later, we don't know. But you know, the optics of it are not great with what the tragedy that unfolded at FSU. And you know, so the timing is not opportune, but that doesn't mean we won't see it come back again. And we arguably have a more conservative legislative branch and executive branch now than we did under Rick Scott, which is saying something, isn't it?
Different kind of
So,
Republican.
you know, the feelings on, it was hard to pass gun measures then. It's even harder now unless it's going in the opposite direction.
Meanwhile, and again, politics seems to be pettier than usual these days, but what do you make of the governor's comments directed at leaders of his own party? And is there any meat to this Hope Florida scandal? I know it's complicated, but essentially accusations of money laundering and fraud, they have been thrown around, and the governor, you know, seems to be taking it very personal.
I don't know that money laundering is the best term to use for all of this. There's definitely some credible allegations of mismanagement of funds, using funds for questionable organizations that may or may not have been funneled to efforts to defeat the recreational marijuana amendment that was on the ballot in 2024. And it is on full display, the rift that is continuing to unfold between Governor DeSantis and the legislature. And he's really sticking it to them, but they're also really sticking it to him.
That's what's kind of interesting, Susan. I mean, this is full bear. Everyone's watching this.
Well, you talk about wanting transparency. Here it is for all the world to see. But I will say one thing. Following the money is one of the most difficult things in politics because certain groups don't have to disclose who donated, and you've got all that. Plus, you have rules on money that comes from the feds and versus the state. The campaign finance rules are different. It is something that makes everybody scratch their head, but it's the fight that's not going to stop anytime soon.
And do voters really care? That's, I guess,
Politically,
another
though,
debate
it
for another
could
time.
really hurt Casey DeSantis if she still has intentions to run for governor.
But to answer your question, I talked to 6 people coming in here today. None of them have heard of this.
The hair salon
Not
poll,
just
right?
them.
No?
I just even people working here.
All right.
You know,
No,
what is that?
It's good. All right. Hey, still to come on Full Circle Florida, 6 months since Hurricane Milton and weeks away from a new hurricane season. I went out to get your voice on what you think next. Welcome back to Full Circle Florida. As we mark 6 months since Hurricane Milton, we're also looking ahead to this year's season. It's just about 6 weeks away. And after last year's storms, I wanted to check in with you on how you're feeling. Here's your voice.
Team coverage here. Paul, I know you had power outages, power lines coming down. It looks like the wind is picking up.
Kind of looks like a storm is approaching today, but we're talking about hurricanes and how you're feeling as we approach yet another hurricane season. We should be veterans at this point, right, guys? We can handle this. Let's get your voice. Hey guys, we're asking people how you're feeling about hurricane season as we're now less than 2 months out. How are you feeling about hurricane season?
It's a hard question to answer because I hear it's going to be another one with severity. I think my lesson is make sure you get out of town.
How about feeling? I'm just after last year, I'm skittish.
I live in Georgia.
You guys get hurricanes up there, right?
We do, but I mean, as long as we have water and canned goods and batteries, flashlights.
How are you feeling, sir?
I'm wonderful. Wisconsin sees very few hurricanes. The snow's melted. We're ready for spring.
I'm almost tempted to move to Wisconsin, but
just for the summer.
Just for the summer, yeah.
We don't even want to think about it. Why are you bringing that up?
Anything differently you're doing this year?
Leaving town. I don't want to be in the area. I don't want to be in a flood zone. I don't want to be where the trees are coming down. Yeah. The tornadoes and everything is a problem.
You don't want to come out with me and cover the hurricane live as the wind's blowing it?
The rain like nails to the face.
When I say hurricane season, what goes through your head?
Just getting the house ready. Floods. House, yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff.
Where are you from?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. We have another guy that was from Wisconsin. He's like, you should move to Wisconsin just for the summertime. Sometimes people don't want to talk about this stuff. It's understandable. It brings up bad memories. I think you've got this, right?
Right. I mean, other than that, and give it to God. I mean, if I'm going to be taken out by a hurricane, then, I mean, there ain't nothing I can do about it then.
No runners today. No run. Oh, we got police on bikes. I want to be one of these guys. How do you get that job? How you doing, guys? Thank you. Are you guys doing anything differently to prepare or?
Praying harder.
Right, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
What are you doing?
We're in pretty good shape. We put our hurricane shutters up, and we're 42 feet above sea level, and we're 10 miles back from the coast, so the surge doesn't get us. And we're a cement block structure.
Right.
So we just pray for everybody else. And when it goes through, we try and go out and join a church team to help.
Are you at all curious as to what it would be like to go through a hurricane?
No.
The state, Florida, provided some funding, and we were able to get some funding. My wife does all the work for
Might
it.
say Florida home.
Yeah,
right.
And they provided a garage door for us that's now hurricane proof. We had no idea that
my
we thought
gosh.
our hurricane garage door would protect our house. We understand that the garage door wraps around the car,
Just blows in
and the wind just blows through the house. So.
Is it possible we could maybe get a year off and just skip the season?
All we could do is pray, man.
Thanks for talking to me. I
Hey,
appreciate it.
thank you so much.
Y'all take care. Have a good one. Take care. Next on Full Circle Florida, the weak Supreme Court, the powerful president. Are there any checks and balances? In less than 100 days in office, President Donald Trump has leveraged all of his power to wage a trade war with the rest of the world. He's ignored a unanimous Supreme Court order to bring back a man who was deported to a foreign prison. He's openly talked about sending American citizens to foreign jails. He's mulled running for a third term and threatened to punish CBS News for a report that he did not like. The question is, can anyone or any institution stop him? Are checks and balances a thing of the past in the land of Trump? Here's my conversation this week with legal expert Jeremy Rosenthal. Jeremy, thanks for joining us. You know, the Supreme Court ruled 9-0, which you don't often see these days, that the Trump administration wrongfully deported a man to a foreign prison and that the White House should get him back. Now, I know this guy is no angel. He's got some things in his past, but not only did the White House refuse the order, at least so far, Stephen Miller in the Trump administration is saying that the court ruled in their favor. So where do you think this goes next?
The court, basically what they did was they made kind of a toothless ruling. They told the lower judge that they were right, that the administration had to bring back this person, that the administration had wrongfully done so, and they ordered that the administration act and make their best efforts to get him back. But they didn't say how that had to be done or when that had to be done. And the Trump administration is effectively sort of sitting on their hands. So the district judge in the case doesn't have a lot in her tool bag at this point to order and force the Trump administration to really do anything. Because what does it mean to use your best efforts? The Trump administration can say, Judge, we're trying, and they could sort of give her lip service, if you will. And I don't know that we're going to see the United States levy a 200% tariff on El Salvador unless they give this guy back. But to answer your question, it's just an order without any teeth.
Well, this week the president also intimated that he would be willing to deport American citizens, saying that homegrowns are next. Is there any legal standing for a sitting president or the Department of Justice to do that?
I've never seen or never heard of anything like that. I think that would be, I can't fathom that would be constitutional, that we could outsource something like that. Assuming even that President Trump is talking about deporting convicted criminals in our courts or just housing them abroad, even that would have a really tough, there would be a lot of cruel and unusual protections there. Under the Eighth Amendment, we all have the right to be free from cruel and unusual punishment. And I think that not only the surroundings, the settings that are there, but also to a lesser degree, you have a right to be confined at a minimum in the United States of America. You may not be confined anywhere near any of your living relatives, but that's certainly part of sending them somewhere abroad that far, that they're denied that access. I have a hard time thinking that doesn't violate the Eighth Amendment.
The president also threatened to strip the license of CBS News after he didn't like that 60 Minutes report. Can the president just shut down a media organization if he doesn't like their reporting?
You would think that the answer would be no. You've got the FCC, which legislates and if you will, regulates the commercial carriers like CBS, and CBS can be fined. They can have their license scrutinized to some degree, but certainly not over content. That said, this administration has not been shy about trying to bully or to twist the knuckles back or the fingers back of federal agencies to try to do their bidding. But it would be extremely hard for them to do that. And technologically, we're in a place where CBS may not just need the FCC's permission. You have YouTube channels. You have all sorts of other private ways to get your message out. It's not nearly as effective, but I would hope that we don't see anything like this. That's why the federal government doesn't give accreditation or licensing necessarily the right for any media outlet to simply exist, because we don't regulate content in the United States, and the media does not serve at the will of the government ever.
Well, what about this third term stuff? Last week, Steve Bannon was on Bill Maher, and he said point blank with a straight face and quite confidently that not only would President Trump run in 2028, but he would be inaugurated as the next president in 2029. Is there any wiggle room at all in the Constitution that would legally allow that?
Steve Bannon has a better chance himself of being inaugurated the president of the United States on that day than Donald Trump does. There are really no viable legal avenues there. There are theories that could potentially have him take a cabinet post or be the Speaker of the House and then ascend, but they would almost all certainly require somebody else to be the president of the United States and give him power. There's no legal way that I'm familiar that he's able to do that.
Did the Supreme Court make itself irrelevant, Jeremy, when it ruled in favor of Trump on presidential immunity last year? I mean, does President Trump have to follow any law, any court order, or even the Constitution? And who's actually going to make sure that he does that?
When we put in law school, when we put our lawyer hat on, or so they say, we ask ourselves functionally, how would this work? Let's say, for argument's sake, that Donald Trump, let's say that by deporting somebody who should not have been deported, let's say that is an unofficial act, that is something that is outside the scope of his job as president of the United States, or taking a U.S. citizen and deporting them to imprison them somewhere else. That would be an act that I think you could make a very good case that would be illegal and unofficial. The problem that the Trump opinion gave us last year is that there's really no way to prove it in a court of law, because a lot of the evidentiary issues that the court discussed, you would not be able to really get into effectively. You've got Judge Boasberg in the District of Columbia that believes that there's probable cause that the administration is in criminal contempt. He didn't name specifically who, but I don't know how you would effectively investigate that when the executive privileges are so incredibly broad. So functionally speaking, I don't know any real effective legal way for there to be any oversight here that's meaningful.
Wow. Questions that you might not have ever thought you'd be asked before, but questions that are being answered in real time, day by day. Jeremy Rosenthal, thank you for your insight. Next on Full Circle Florida, our final thoughts on the week that was and the week ahead. Welcome back into Full Circle Florida as we bring our panel back in. Janelle Irwin Taylor from Southeast Politics and our political analyst, Dr. Susan MacManus. Your final thoughts on this week. I keep saying every week is busier. It seems like every week gets more crowded.
The sadness in one of the holiest of holy weeks to have so much violence abroad and here at home.
Yeah.
I'll be watching the legislative session as it winds down, especially on book banning issues that could set up a federal precedent.
It could go into overtime, right?
Could go into overtime. We don't know. We'll
it's
see.
supposed to end May 2nd, but
Yes.
they're not exactly sure about that.
There's iffiness. They were still $4 billion apart in the budget.
All right. All right. Well, we'll leave it there, guys. Thank you for being with us here this week. Appreciate it as always. And thank you for watching us here on Full Circle Florida. We hope you'll join us again next week. Make sure to add our 24/7 streaming news channel, ABC Action News Plus. You'll find all the in-depth reports on the stories that matter to you. Have a great week.